Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor.
Law firms will take this as a retainer.
What? It must be a law firm where they hungry as hell. Now you gonna help me with this parole I'm dealing with?
Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor. With one taste of our premium blends of all-natural ingredients, herbs, and spices, you'll fall in love with meat all over again. Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce collection is made up of 2 zesty flavors, original and spicy. There's only one way to bring order back to barbecuing. Just add Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce and seasoning, and you be the judge.
So I remember this actor, I can't pronounce his name, Djimon Hounsou, Djimon. Amistad. He was the lead, one of the leads on the movie Amistad, and Gladiator. He's a really good actor, very seasoned. But he's talking about the struggles he has had in Hollywood over the decades, and and contributing that to racism. So I want to play.
I'm still struggling trying to make a living.
After 30 years in this business.
I've been in this business and making films now over 2 decades, and still, with 2 Oscar nominations, many big blockbuster films, and yet I'm still struggling financially to make a living. I'm definitely underpaid.
How has Hollywood changed in terms of African representation in what you see since you started out to what's being produced now?
I was nominated for a Golden Globe, but they ignored me for the Oscars, talking about the fact that they thought that I just came off the boat and off the streets. Even though I successfully did that, they just didn't feel like I was an actor for whom we should pay any respect to. So this conceptual idea of diversity, it still has a long way to go. Systemic racism don't change like that anytime soon.
Growing up, you're one of the first big black actors I saw in big budget films. So it's mind-boggling to me.
But that's a sign for you that systemic racism is not something that you can deal with lightly. You have to cope with it and survive the best way you can.
From personal experience, I'd say Hollywood is probably the most racist place I've ever worked in my going on 80 years of life. And that goes back a long way to when there was, in fact, no civil rights laws, and when there was some real serious discrimination and racism. Hollywood is about the worst, and that was in recent times. It's a filthy place to work, and if you are black, male, and straight, they hate you. So I understand what he's saying, but you can get yourself a real job. I just had a real job. They drafted me, and then after 15 years, I said, go to hell, I've had enough, I'm retiring. You're sick, I've had enough. Now, I understand where he's coming from, but shit happens. He's a good actor. I enjoyed him in Gladiator, and Amistad I watched too.
So I want to ask, why do you think that there is so much racism, particularly in Hollywood, even though it is controlled by Jewish
Rainbow.
people?
They brag about 8 or 9 out of every 10 people you see anywhere in Hollywood are rainbow cultists. And they hate straight black men because black men represent physical masculinity, even if not so when it comes to character. So that's very threatening to them, and they want these images, these things that make them go, uh-oh, men can be dangerous creatures. They want all of that removed because it makes them feel very ill at ease and very uncomfortable.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Hollywood and systemic racism, what does that look like?
Well, let's put it this way. When I was doing it the last 5 years, I beat Oprah Winfrey damn near every week of the year in ratings. I beat Dr. Phil, the only person that was tied or above me. There were 2 syndicated shows, Wheel of Fortune, Judge Judy, Judge Joe Brown. We kind of alternated, and Judge Judy and I were in the same unit, special CBS unit under a guy named Roger King with Oprah and Phil. Oprah's the superstar. Phil's still on. Judy is supposed to be this. You never hear about me, but I was beating them in ratings, and every time I beat Judy, CBS would avail themselves of an offered change in the rating schedule so that she could stay ahead. But you never heard about me because I'm a straight black male, or black man. So that was an anathema. Some people that are straight, black, and male, they make so much money that they have to, for Hollywood, that they have to accommodate them, even though those folk refuse to hang with Hollywood. It's a dangerous place to hang out because it's sick, it's perverted, and all of the loathsome stuff you have heard about Hollywood is effectively true. They're freaks, and they like to get their freak on.
Maybe want to party and you got to tell them no.
First, it's been 27 years ago now, but when I went to the first few parties, I wasn't a young guy. I was in my 50s, and I just said, oh, hell no. I said, this is some sick stuff. I'm not going back to one of these things. I said, maybe it was just a freak. So I went to 2 more, and I just said, no. So I didn't hang out with them, and the only thing I'd go to were studio parties where they really wanted you to go. And they couldn't get too freak at those. And he's talking about this. Hell, I got nominated for 3 Emmys.
Well, Eddie Griffin, he's a comedian / actor. I guess he has a podcast, and he was quoted saying, "You're burning up evidence, sons of bees." Eddie Griffin speaks on the rumor that LA fires were used to cover up the pedo trail in Hollywood and calls out State Farm from canceling fire protection policies before the fires started.
I don't buy that because there are easier ways, more efficient ways of accomplishing what he's talking about.
Yeah, I didn't. That's why I'm not even playing.
All you do is die, and you got a 1st-degree murder case with a death penalty staring you in the face, and that's not worth the risk. And there are several people that have died, so
Yeah, I don't. His explanation, and I get it that he's saying that that town is crazy with that type of reputation, but I don't think that's the reason.
Granted, it's a town with a long history of violence and organized crime. And by the way, some of the people that used to live there are interesting. Bat Masterson, Wyatt Earp, the Wyatt Earp, the old West gunslingers. Interestingly enough, both of them wound up newspaper reporters. Wyatt Earp allegedly died at his typewriter in the midst of typing up an article of a heart attack.
Well, I will say this. Maybe that is why. I can't. How you pronounce his name?
Oh, I can't pronounce his name. Save my life.
Julio. You know what I'm talking about? Djimon.
I'm played in the Amistad thing.
Yeah, him. Maybe that's why he probably was blackballed because he was not trying to pull his pants down and get.
Well, what Cat Williams told us last year, it was the year of truth. I don't think Cat Williams is lying. I think it's a whole lot more stuff is going to end up being uncovered. That's why I was halfway being funny, but shit, Before we want to party, and you got to tell them no. You got to tell them no.
Well, what I did is I used my extensive connections, and I got more information on them than they had on me, and some of it they couldn't handle. So I can think of some interesting incidents I won't relate. So they were trying to kowtow me, and I just walked in with to the chief executive CEO and said, "Go to hell, I quit, son of a bitch." Now, meanwhile, before I do something to you and I lay it out, they couldn't deal with it, and they are gone. And I was there for either 14 more years, 13 more years, 12 more years, and it was a game in and out of who had more information on who. And I pulled off a coup on them. I filed an amicus brief, I think it was, back in 1999 on a lawsuit against myself and the studio that was heard by the California Supreme Court, and I think they bought into it. And they put a little few lines in there about if anybody tried to gainsay me, who had ultimate say-so on anything that was broadcast or done, I had full contempt powers, and the people would be liable to jail and civil penalties. So every time they'd get nasty, I'd just send over a few of those pages and say, take a look. Now, F with me. And then the other thing was, at some point, I got to this stage where I could say, screw everybody up in here. Ain't none of you high enough on the food chain to fire me.
You got to a position of FU. That's what it was.
Yeah, so, and I didn't get fired. I quit. They just about something. I said, I'm not buying it. So anyway, ciao. You stole enough money. Unfortunately, the lawyer I had looking in on it, I got refunded all of the retainers because he disappeared. Nobody's seen him for, how long has it been? 11 years. He just disappeared off the face of the earth. His office was looking for him, and people think he's dead. But anyway, here's what it is. Sometimes they play hardball and play to keeps. It's big money involved.